Good morning, and welcome to Allen Avenue Unitarian Universalist Church's in-person and online worship. Whether today is your first time or you've been coming for years, we're so glad you're with us. My name is Mike Luce. I'm a member of the worship committee who is putting on this service today. We're a growing community that transforms lives through the power of love. Our mission calls us to celebrate diversity, encourage spiritual growth, and promote social responsibility while we travel on and care for the earth. A special welcome to those at home who are joining us on Zoom today. If you're attending for the first time, please go to our website and fill out the welcome card so we can know more about you. This morning's service is presented by the worship committee. Lay-led worship is a tradition at this and many other Unitarian Universalist societies. At Allen Avenue, the worship committee either sponsors or presents one such service a month. On most Sundays, services are led by our minister, the Reverend Tara Humphreys. And now's the time of announcements. Oh, what a cornucopia of announcements. All right. We're just a month away from summer services, and we still have 5 spots left to fill. Please speak to someone on the worship committee today, most anyone that comes up here during the service, if you're interested. We will help. We're collecting donations for Project Feed for 1 more week through next Sunday. Please leave items on the table in the foyer, and thank you for your generosity. The A2U2 annual meeting will be held today, in person and on Zoom. Next week. Please read on 6/8. And this is the one let me see here. There's 3 of them. Here's today's. The A2U2 annual meeting will be held in person and on Zoom on Sunday, June 8th, following the service at 11:15. This is your opportunity to learn more about the finances of the church, as well as participate in the workings of A2U2. It is important that we have a quorum and hope all can attend this meeting. Childcare will be provided. Now, we invite you to take this opportunity to silence your cell phones so that we can be fully present to one another. After the service, please grab a cup of coffee or tea in the kitchen window. Is that in the kitchen or in here today? In the kitchen. And stay for conversation in the foyer or head down the end of the long hallway to join a group for the brown bag lunch. Those on Zoom may stay on and connect with one another. And now, let us center our hearts and minds with the sound of the singing bowl.
Good morning. I'm Anna Noyes-Benoit, and a member of the worship committee. Beloved companions, we arrive at this place where all we have to do is breathe. We don't have to impress or convince or win over. We don't have to know the words. It's okay that we didn't read the book or pass the class or carry that title or meet that mark. We don't have to be anything but who we are and move into a communal rest where we lay down our burdens, our longings, our cravings, our unmet need, our error, our regret, our sudden disappointment, our anxiety, our shame, our sheer exhaustion, our bewilderment, our bafflement, our burgeoning terror. All of this we lay down together. As we do this, may we be filled instead with presence. May we be filled in the comfort of our community. May we discover new compassion for ourselves and others. May we meet this moment with gentleness, ease, and gratitude for the air we breathe, for the questions we ask together, for the justice we seek together, for the songs we sing together. Amen. As we light the flame of the chalice, we invite those on Zoom to light their own chalices or candles so that we may be connected with one another. It's okay to be tired of change. It's okay to be tired of everything different. It's okay to feel weary of resiliency and wholeness and learning and growth. It is okay to yearn simply for rest. It's okay to be grouchy and unsatisfied in all the ordinary human ways of being that we are. Let this morning be a reminder that you are loved. Let our time together soothe what is restless in you. May you be comforted knowing that whatever you are feeling today and other days, you are not alone. You are never alone. Come, let us worship together. Let's join together in singing hymn number, that one, 6. Dale will play it through once.
Good morning. My name is Erica Bartlett, and quick note before we get to the time for all ages. As we go through, you may notice that things aren't exactly the way they are in the order of service, so just go with whatever. We'll be fine. So I have a question for all of you, few kids and adults alike. Have any of you ever fallen down? Yes. Okay. So have I. Now, when you fall down, do you try to get back up? Yeah. So, right, a lot of the times you can just get back up. Sometimes you might need a Band-Aid if you scraped your hand or your knees, but you can usually still get back up. This is a kind of resilience. Resilience is our topic today, and it means how well you can recover from a setback or a challenge. Sometimes the setback isn't too bad, but other times it's a bit harder. For example, have any of you ever fallen down hard enough that you needed help to get up, or got hurt in a way that took you longer to get better? Yeah. Yeah, that's happened to me too. So one of those times was 4 years ago when I was at Baxter State Park in the summer. I was hiking by myself in the morning because the friend I was camping with was off doing a much longer hike than I was prepared for. It was pretty early, around 7:30 in the morning, so I didn't see anyone else on the trail. And that's when it happened. I put my foot down the wrong way on a wet, mossy rock, and my foot slipped and turned completely sideways, and I fell down. I also thought I heard a crack, but I wasn't sure. As you might guess, this was a very scary moment. I didn't know if I could get back up or not, but I knew I had to try because I didn't know how long it would be until someone else came along. Luckily, I was able to get back up. Then I had to see if I could walk. Before I did that, though, I found a branch that I could use as a walking stick, and I discovered that I could walk okay as long as I didn't turn my foot the wrong way. It also helped that I wasn't actually on a mountain. The trail was mostly level, apart from lots of rocks and roots. So I was walking back to the campground, trying to be careful, but I was still nervous. This is where the phrase, "you're not out of the woods yet," really came into play. And after about half an hour, I ran into another challenge, a stream crossing. Now, sometimes when you're hiking, you'll find a stream across the trail. Sometimes there's a little log bridge or a plank for you to walk over, and sometimes there are rocks that you can skip across to get over. But sometimes you have to just go through and get your feet wet. This one had some rocks, but I didn't think skipping would be a good idea. There was also a log across the stream, but it wasn't even flat, and it was pretty narrow. I didn't want to walk on that either. So I decided to sit on the log like it was a horse and scoot my way across it very carefully. And I made it without even getting wet. That was a big relief. After that, I was back on smoother paths, and it wasn't much further to the ranger station. He wrapped my ankle in a bandage and gave me an ice pack, but I knew that was only going to help so much. So my friend and I cut our trip short so I could go back home and go to urgent care. That's when I found out I had, in fact, broken a bone in my ankle. On the plus side, I didn't need surgery, and I have a job where I can sit most of the time, though my cats weren't happy that I couldn't play with them much for a while. A lot of people also offered to help me with things, so I didn't have to walk as much while I was healing. And I had to do some physical therapy, but I did recover. It's actually pretty amazing what we can recover from. You might need some help along the way, but that's okay. Maybe next time it will be your turn to help someone else. We all have these challenges and setbacks and tough times, big and small, and I found that having help, or even just company from a friend, makes it much easier to recover.
Well, I'm Audrey Williams, and I'm taking Emily's place today. And let's see, we are going to light the lamp, and I do believe that Dexter has decided to volunteer to do that. Dexter, could you pick up my purple bag? Okay. Dexter will now light the lamp. Okay. can carry the lamp. I invite those going to RE to follow the lamplighter and me as we carry the flame, expanding our sacred space.
My name's still Mike Luce, and my reflection is entitled The Test. The last compliment I want to receive is that I'm resilient. You know the circumstances that lead to that. The convention is that it's reserved for people who have been through the mill, preferably repeatedly, better yet over centuries. They bent, but they didn't break. Or maybe they did break, but then they've got that phoenix rising thing going on. In any case, it wasn't fun. In a lot of cases, it might have been scarring. Who really wants that? And for what? Bragging rights? We'd like to talk about resilience, but what are we really talking about when we use that word? Is it to bend but not break? Save your strength for recovering? Or is it to stand firm? Don't give an inch. There are sometimes choices to be made. Some survive a storm, some don't. In some cases, if we don't stand firm, don't give an inch, we'll last until we don't. Then it's time for the phoenix. Of course, if we give a little, there's a chance for recovery. We endured, maybe learned something, maybe came back stronger than ever. So resilience is a funny thing to try to describe. It's not really strength to resist, more like give a little and adapt. It means letting whatever outside forces are pushing you to have their way, at least a little bit, and as the Brits like to say, carrying on as best you can. It's usually considered to be a positive judgment about someone, but like I said, you don't really want to earn that title. That would mean that maybe you didn't break, but maybe you had to do a lot of bending, maybe some compromising. Now, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. There are times when changes forced on us can be just fine. We adapt to new situations and conditions all the time, often for the better. That often involves some degree of discomfort, but usually things go on pretty well. A little bit of resilience required. Other times, though, it's a tough decision how much to resist or fight, how much to just adapt. When I started my career in mental health, I wasn't in my early 20s, some fresh young guy with all kinds of ideals, but I still had a lot of ideals. After some time and a couple of jobs, that idealism wasn't serving me really well. Long story short, like a lot of folks, I burned out. I took some time off and I came back with a better understanding of the need for self-care in lots of ways. And that's because my idealism didn't comport with the reality of the world and the work I had to deal with. And that constant background feeling of disappointment and inadequacy when you work in community mental health. You're part of an inadequate system. In other words, I had to be more resilient, and this church community became an important part of my own answer, along with my wife, also a veteran of the same field, music, my wood shop. I needed a lot of help to be resilient. I don't think it's too much of a stretch to suggest most of us here are trying to carry on through a real sense of disappointment and maybe a sense of inadequacy also, to put it mildly. We're going to need every support we can get. And a big part of what carries us forward is us, here. We can stand together, support each other, and come through the other side of what may be a long trial. Resilience is demanded of us, like it or not. For the joys and sorrows shared aloud and those that are unspoken and live in the wider community, let us take a moment of reflection and prayer. Spirit of life, both within and around us, be present to our collective yearning for renewal in this moment. Life has become super lifey these days. With the demands and pressures of jobs and roles, the tugs of the heart to people and places we miss and long for, the places that when so much is asked of us, the ways that when so much is asked of us, we crumble just a little bit more each day under the weight of it all. With soul-crushing, devastating news and updates from around the world and in our own communities, the loved ones in our lives hurting and struggling the ways that we are hurting and struggling. Spirit of life, we pause to acknowledge the many challenges of life and send love and care within and out in the world. We pause to honor and hold space for the struggles we experience in our bodies and in our spirits, and send love and care to those tender places. We pause to honor and hold space for the struggles we experience in our bodies and in our spirits, and send love and care to those tender places. I just said that. We pause to receive the abundant mystery and grace, the power of love that is greater than ourselves to heal and nourish us. We call upon all the transcendent gifts of renewal to be bestowed upon us, for an energizing renewal to fill us in all the ways that serves our lagging spirits when our own resilience wanes. We give thanks and gratitude for the sweetness of renewal so that it may linger in us, be amplified and multiplied towards healing and wholeness. In the name of all that is hopeful and holy, may it be so.
Good morning. I am not Anna, and I am Rick Kimball. You can tell because we're wearing different clothes. Three songs I learned as a kid pop into my head when I think of resilience. The first goes like this. Eensy weensy spider went up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain. And the eensy weensy spider went up the spout again. Well done. What more is there to say about resilience than that? Well, quite a bit, as it turns out. The other two songs I want to talk about are B&B songs. B for Bible and B for Bones. One is called Them Bones Gonna Rise Again. I know it, says the chorus. I know it, indeed I know it, brother, I know it. We, them bones, gonna rise again. Well, those words come from a spiritual telling the biblical story of Adam and Eve and their expulsion from the Garden of Eden. You know the sequel. Out of the garden and on their own, Adam and Eve started birthing things. But you may not have thought of this, that one of the things they birthed was resilience. Because before they chewed on that apple, everything was perfect. There was no need for resilience. Now there was evil and pestilence and death. Surviving the tortures of existence and thoughts of its ending required resilience. Now about the third song, Them Bones, Them Dry Bones. That's the song that connects everything. The toe bone to the foot bone to the ankle bone, and on up to the skeleton to the head bone. The text is based in chapter 37 of the Bible's book of Ezekiel, which says the good Lord put the Israelites back together from a pile of dry bones. Well, I knew nothing of such matters when I learned the song. Mostly I just sang it. But if pressed, I might have guessed that it referred to resurrection or reincarnation, the ultimate form of resilience, bouncing back from death. Think about that. If we can bounce back from death, we can bounce back from anything. Maybe that's why the good Lord gave us so many infirmities and challenges. We practice resilience when we recover from COVID or from Trump. We practice resilience when we do something stupid and try over again. Just plain living in a time of turmoil and trouble is a form of resilience. Today is proof of that. We can proudly sing the Bones chorus again. I know it, brother, I know it. We, them bones, gonna rise again. Well, thank you, Adam. And thank you, Eve, if you can hear me, for the gift of resilience. And thank you, resurrectionists and reincarnationists. Thank you for the belief that we can survive everything, even death. Of course, we can't be sure about that. And we can't be sure that if we do come back from the grave, we will not be worms or mosquitoes. Death, of course, is a mystery we may do best not to solve. Death aside, we can at least have hope for and faith in a better tomorrow. Hope and faith enough to keep practicing Adam and Eve's gift of resilience, a gift adorned and embellished by Ezekiel. Hey, the Bible's truths may not be literal, but they can be helpful in moving us through crises. So can many other supports like this church. One more round of the chorus. I know it, brother, I know it. We, them bones, gonna rise again. Them wallets gonna rise again too. Now is the time in our service when we engage in the spiritual practice of generosity. Our gifts support the ministries of this congregation and our work in the broader community. Each week, 1/3 of our offering is given away to a local nonprofit organization doing work to advance our shared values in the world. May's Share the Plate recipient is Maine TransNet, Maine's only transgender-led and focused community organization. They provide peer-to-peer support groups, social and community events, advocacy for the trans community across Maine, and training for mental health, and social service providers. Donations can be made now as the basket is passed through the donate button on our website, or if you are a member, on Breeze, remembering to make note that your gift is for Share the Plate. If you are visiting us for the first time this morning, please know that your presence is your gift to us. At this time, our offering will be collected and gratefully received.
I'm still Anna. And I remember when the worship committee first started to discuss this topic of resilience, I was very enthusiastic. I had listened to a TED Talk on it, and I thought, oh, this is great, very motivating. So, of course, I went back and tried to find that TED Talk and listened to a bunch of them, some of them good. But one that stood out was one by Lucy Hone, and it resonated with me. Hone had experienced profound loss, including the accidental death of her daughter, which was something, unfortunately, that we had in common. It wasn't the same talk that I had originally listened to, but I really liked it. Hone talked about 3 components of resilience. The first one is that resilient people accept that bad things happen to good people and that terrible things will occur in our life. The second thing was that resilient people can select their attention by looking for positive things in their life. She calls this turning to the good. She suggested that people look for 3 things each day that are good and therefore can redirect their mood. Lastly, she says resilient people ask themselves, is what I'm doing really helping or harming me? Resilient people ask themselves, do I really need another glass of wine or an extra helping of dessert? Hone says there are ways of thinking and acting that can boost our resilience. And furthermore, she points out that these skills are all learnable and teachable. Then it occurred to me, this is pretty much summed up by the Serenity Prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the wisdom to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Yeah, I did it backwards. You know what I mean. In essence, the Serenity prayer, with its focus on acceptance, courage, and wisdom, evolved from a personal prayer to a widely recognized and influential statement of resilience and inner peace.
This reading is Bearable Together by Elizabeth Stevens. Traumatic experiences, by definition, make us feel overwhelmed, out of control, disconnected, and uncomprehending. Pain and grief are not pleasant feelings either. I'm often tempted to travel as fast as I can through these uncomfortable places, but trauma defies my attempts to rush. In the weeks and months following the shooting, I stayed in the midst of the pain by letting go of my need for control and tolerating the feelings of powerlessness. Healing wasn't an intellectual process, but an embodied unfolding. I gave myself the space to be baffled and brokenhearted, to lament. I held space for other confused and grieving people, bearing witness to one another in love and celebrating the miraculous ways that together we discovered a deeper resilience and a greater wisdom. The paradox is this: the only way I've been able to move through trauma, my own or those of the ones I love, is to sit and stay. When I create space for what is real, however incomprehensible and heartbreaking and unbearably painful, my spirit heals. When I do this in community, I discover a deeper wisdom and a greater resilience. Somehow, the things that are too much to bear alone are bearable together. 5 years later, I got another "Are you sitting down?" call. This one came when I was a continent away, supporting my mother after my stepfather's death. "Do you need me to come home?" I asked. "No," said the voice on the other end of the line, a member of our lay pastoral ministry team. "You taught us how to do this. We'll sit and stay and hold the space until you get back."
Bambalela.
I thought a lot about resilience recently when reading the book Of Time and Turtles by Cy Montgomery. I learned that turtles are amazingly resilient, able to recover from incredibly serious injuries at times, including healing from spinal cord injuries by regenerating nerve tissue. And Cy was able to resuscitate a baby turtle that had drowned. As amazed as I was by the stories, what also struck me is that in order to recover, turtles, as with us humans, need time, a safe space, and support. It got me thinking that one of the biggest challenges I'm having with being resilient in our current political situation is the lack of time. We barely have time to process everything that's happening, let alone recover from it, because there's simply too much going on. By the time we've thought about one issue, several more have cropped up. It's also hard to know what qualifies as a safe space anymore, or even who to turn to for support, especially for certain populations. This doesn't mean we can't remain resilient, although it is harder. But I'm slowly figuring out what works for me. One thing that I find is important is letting myself feel the sadness and grief over what's happening to our country. I've read a lot about climate change and climate grief, and one of my biggest takeaways from that is that if you don't let yourself process those emotions, you'll be more prone to burnout and despair, which isn't what we need right now. So I've been trying to make space for that. I'm also trying to pick just a few issues to focus on, but that's very hard. When so much is under attack, don't you need to protest everything? Isn't it our responsibility to jump into action on every single issue? It feels that way, but it's simply not feasible, at least not for me. And it doesn't do anyone any good if I get exhausted by trying to do everything. So I'm trying to stay focused on climate and environmental issues, as well as general human rights issues, though admittedly that covers a lot. Then there's finding a safe space and support when needed. I appreciate having the Climate Cafe here at church to talk to others about climate issues, particularly when it feels like climate concerns have been drowned out by everything else going on. I also know that I can turn to some of those people, as well as other friends, for support if needed. And I keep going back to a quote from C.S. Lewis that I got in a newsletter last fall, the day after the election. Lewis wrote this while living in fear of nuclear war, and while that's not the same as what we're facing, the general idea still feels relevant. Quote, "If we are all going to be destroyed by an atomic bomb, let that bomb, when it comes, find us doing sensible and human things, praying, working, teaching, reading, listening to music, bathing the children, playing tennis, chatting to our friends over a pint and a game of darts, not huddled together like frightened sheep and thinking about bombs." End quote. To me, this speaks of another thing that's so important right now, finding joy. I sometimes struggle with this, questioning my right to be happy or joyful when people are being detained, deported, losing their jobs, losing their savings, and more. And yet, joy feeds resilience. It reminds me of what I'm fighting for, and it re-energizes me. So with that in mind, I've been finding joy in the beauty of spring, seeing more and more color appear around me. I'm also enjoying increased animal activity, which mostly means lots of birds, but I was also excited to spot a young deer in my backyard on Earth Day, and yesterday morning a fox. I found joy reading about the turtles, learning not only about them, but the amazing people who've dedicated their lives to helping them. These things and more help keep me grounded and not get swept away by anxiety. It doesn't mean I'm not worried about what's happening, but it helps me not give in to the worst case scenarios. That way, I'm able to keep going, helping where I can, supporting others when possible, and hoping that with enough of us doing this, change will come. I invite you now to join us in our closing hymn, number 169 in the gray hymnal, "We Shall Overcome." Dale will play it through once, and then we'll sing it through. Please rise and body your spirit. We close by inviting you to identify with the Eensy Weensy spider and with Thomas Edison, who said this: "Our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always to try just one more time." May we all find the strength that resilience both requires and helps to build. Our worship has ended, and our service begins.